Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey here once again. We're taking a look at whether or not the Cowboys will actually add some defensive tackle and cornerback help. A couple different Cowboys insiders have recently hinted at, outright predicted even, that the Cowboys are going to add help at one or both of those spots. The same spots that Stephen Jones has said he thinks could be areas for improvement with Dallas. John Machota of The Athletic, in his roster projection, as he did before the training camp cycle began, had an unnamed corner here, as in an addition of some capacity to the team. Nick Eatman of Cowboys.com said, hey, maybe multiple new corners are a potential option. Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram says defensive tackle could be an area the Cowboys go out and get some help. Both of these spots, I would argue, and have before, are in need of assistance. What do you think is the bigger need? CB for corner, DT for defensive tackle. Let me know in the comments section of today's show what need, got to pick one, do you think is bigger? Nick Eatman was actually asked on 105 Through the Fan about John Machota's projection, and this was his quote. I kind of condensed it down with some of the stuff in between. This is not going to work. There's no way they go with what they're doing right now at corner. I don't think you can count on the guys who are here right now. One or two new additions. I wouldn't be surprised if you see two guys in here from another team. Look, I hope that Trayvon Diggs is healthy soon. Timeline is still very much murky at this point. But right now, this cornerback room is unserious. This is an unserious cornerback room constructed for week 1. It might very well be all fine and dandy come week 13, but for week 1, be for real, guys. Right now, your healthy corners are Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, and giant question marks that I think are closer to third stringers for the most part than they are first stringers. If you don't put Deron Bland at nickel, your week 1 nickel options appear to be Kamon Hall, Zion Childress, maybe Israel Mukwama, who's also getting outside cornerback work, but Kamon Hall is if that's your 6th corner, okay. Same with Zion Childress. If he's maybe your 5th corner because they could help on some teams. As your 3rd, what are we doing here? What are you gonna do when the Eagles put Devonta Smith or AJ Brown in the slot? Just gonna let them cover? Gonna stay in zone the entire time? What are we doing here? Your outside corner options are Andrew Booth. I still think Israel Mukwama is your 3rd best healthy corner. I don't know if the Cowboys agree with me. They seem to not be as high on him. Robert Rochelle and Troy Pride. You got a bunch of journeymen here. This does not work as an actual starting cornerback plan. It does not. It works as the 5th corner, not as the 3rd corner. I hope the Cowboys add another corner. Because what happens if somebody else goes down? You're in dire straits there. So will the Cowboys actually end up adding another corner? If you want to speak it into existence, that's fine as well. Sound off in the comment section of today's show. Then we'll mention some potential options at corner and come back to the defensive tackle spot. But go vote. Y for yes, N for no. 4 free agent options, and we'll spend a little bit of time on each of these guys. Stephon Gilmore, Asante Samuel, Rasul Douglas, and Kendall Fuller. Gilmore is obviously the most linked one. We have spent a lot of time on Stephon Gilmore. I would not be surprised if that happens. I don't know what the money looks like. That could be the deciding factor, which is very on brand for the Cowboys. But yeah, I would sign Gilmore today. As long as you're on board and he is on board too, with Deron Bland playing nickel, if you pay him, he's actually probably even more on board. Make it happen. Asante Samuel, I think the medical is a huge factor here. He had neck surgery back in July, or in April. There was supposed to be a medical recheck essentially in July with an update. It is now mid-August, and I haven't heard a peep about it. And in this case, I think no news is actually bad news, and I don't know if he's actually fully healthy yet. Maybe someone brings him in for a visit soon, and that is the indication that he's actually good to play then. Rasul Douglas, I think, wants a full-time starting spot, which is why I kind of prefer Stephon Gilmore in that area, where I think Gilmore might be a little bit okay. But he's a good player. He was better in 2023. Kendall Fuller has inside-outside experience with Mike Hilton now in Miami. You don't have a lot of viable nickel corner options. I think you can find a stopgap option at corner. That's why I wouldn't be opposed to signing somebody. We'll talk trade options here, though, in just a second. Now, this Cowboys hoodie is on sale. Was $55. Now it's just $33. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Third paragraph of the description, by the way. Chatsports.com/DAL hoodie. Click and go buy yours today. Let's discuss some cornerback trade and cut targets here. We'll go in depth on the first three names. Cam Smith for the Dolphins, Damari Mathis for Denver, Josh Williams for the Chiefs. James Pierre has kind of bounced around the NFL. He might be on the outside looking in at Pittsburgh. Again, the options aren't great. These are trade/cut candidates, but trying to find solutions that fit the Cowboys' typical MO here. Cam Smith is one of them. He's got decent length, which the Cowboys crave. He was a former early-round pick, and he has not been very good in Miami, so you could do the whole buy low mindset. Damari Mathis has some, I think maybe some inside, outside flexibility there, but I think there is probably on the outside looking in kind of a deep Denver cornerback room. Makes some sense. Joshua Williams has played a lot for the Chiefs, has kind of stagnated to an extent. I think is still better than Andrew Booth, and he has the length the Cowboys covet. I think he's worth mentioning there. Some additional cornerback cut/trade targets. Adoree Jackson might be on the outside looking in for Philadelphia. I don't know if he's that good. Ambry Thomas has bounced around. Kindle Vildor briefly overlapped with Matt Eberflus in Chicago. Caleb Evans was a draft pick. Cowboys like that. Elijah Jones is a former third-round pick by the Cardinals. Again, I kind of focused on names you may or may not have heard of that might make some sense. You can go get a free agent, though. I think I kind of lean towards that path for the Cowboys. So name a corner, realistically, that you want to add. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Then we'll go talk about the defensive tackle room here. Name a corner who you guys want to add. Nick Harris, the Star Telegram, writing this, says, don't be surprised if the eventual starter, opposite Osa Odighizuwa, on this team is currently on the street or playing elsewhere. The Cowboys will need help to aid in the run defense as early as week 1. Right now, I think you have 3 roster locks. Osa Odighizuwa, Mozzie Smith, Solomon Thomas. Those guys are going to be on the team. But that leaves 1, maybe 2 spots. Can Jay Toia, Perion Winfrey, probably one of those 2 guys, end up being a piece for you? Maybe, but I didn't think Toia played that great in the first preseason game. Perion Winfrey is kind of intriguing, but does kind of concern me here. In the end, this defensive tackle room reminds me way too much of last year's grouping. And that eventually led to August additions. That this isn't good enough. This DT room needs help. You don't have the horses to compete, even with Mozzie Smith. And my expectations are kind of low right now for Mozzie. You need somebody else to give you 20-something snaps per game and to be a better linchpin up front. I'd be great if that's Jay Toia. He's also a 7th-round pick. We should probably have lower expectations than some of us do. They got no real size. I think they got to go get another DT. We'll see if they do that or not. What do you think ends up happening? Will the Cowboys end up adding another defensive tackle? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Let's discuss some free agent defensive tackles. And we'll go in depth on Wilkins, Davis, and Joseph more in depth here. Raekwon Davis, I should say. It's not great groupings here overall. Khalil Davis, Armon Watts, those guys don't really move the needle at all for me. Christian Wilkins does on the field. It's a question of when is he going to be on the field. He is one of, if not the best, unsigned free agent as far as I'm concerned. I don't know when he's going to be healthy. I have no idea when that's going to happen. Might not be until November. So at that point, does that benefit you? Are you going to clear him medically? I don't know. Whatever happened off the field, by the way, the with the kiss on the forehead, whatever. I don't know what actually happened there. He's also rep by David Mulugeta. That's an issue for you. I think there's talent, yes. Everything else might make it a no. Raekwon Davis has good size. He's 6'7", 325, but the Colts paid him kind of big money to come over from the Dolphins, and he was bad and got cut after a year. I don't know what his status actually is. Linval Joseph knows the team. He's got the size. He was also a Zim defensive tackle. Are the Cowboys just really going to go with all undersized defensive linemen? I have concerns that they might, which would kind of impact this list. That's why we got some different trade targets we'll get to here in just a second. We will be live for every single Cowboys game this year, including preseason. So if you have not already, join us here on the Cowboys Report. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Some defensive tackle cut/trade targets. The first 6 names are bigger bodies. They're more nose guard types. Derek Nondi's a veteran who might be on the outside looking in with the Jets. I'll make note, by the way, I looked at a bunch of different roster projections, talked to some of our channel hosts, who's going to make the team, who might not. So these are all bubble guys. Keandre Coburn already got cut once this offseason, but maybe he could be in play for you as a nose guard. CJ Okoye, who is with the Ravens, you'll get to see him up close and personal on Saturday. I don't think he's actually as big because I've seen him listed at 370. He ain't that big, but that's a run clogger. DJ Davidson, former draft pick for the Giants, might be the odd man out in a deep room there. Broderick Martin was a 3rd-round pick. The Lions have had some injuries, but I think he ends up getting dumped. That's far more realistic name than a DJ Reader. Could always bring back John Ridgeway. He might not make the Saints roster this year. I don't know if he actually fixes anything for you, same with a Quinton Bohanna, but you need a body, and he's at least played in the NFL more. Some more undersized guys who are or maybe aren't quite 300 pounds. Jordan Elliott for the Niners, kind of on the bubble. Zach Pickens had a great preseason game, but questionable what his role is going to be. Jordan Jackson for the Broncos, he's maybe on the bubble. He played some last year. Sheldon Day's a veteran. DeMarvin Leal is probably too skinny, but again, it's August, and the options available to you in August aren't always the greatest.